17 days of WCS Challenger, and we're finally here on the 18th day, the last day of 2018 Challenger. My name is Fear Dragon. I am joined by Nathanius, and welcome to WCS North American Challenger Season 3. We're here in the playoffs. How you doing today, Nate?
I'm doing great, and you know, as a Terran player, I still need something to cry about, so I'm ready to cry about at the end of WCS Challenger this year. It's been so much fun to get to hang out with Fear Dragon all the time.
I know.
In control. I mean, just watching the dynamic of you two from the beginning of the year to this point, it's been nothing short of a beautiful metamorphosis of a butterfly. If like two caterpillars were in one cocoon and came out a completely separate beast, you know?
It's like still going through puberty because it's still so awkward, but you know, it's getting there.
Yeah. You guys are ready to hatch into a beautiful Venomoth or Butterfree, whichever one you guys are going to have as. Whichever one.
It's going to be beautiful. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, welcome again. We are going to be playing out a bunch of really awesome games for the North American region, all the players that made it to the playoffs. Of course, we had 16 players that came in through the group stages. 8 of them now remain as 2 players advance out of each one of those 4 groups. And they are going to be playing to determine who is the regional champion of North America. And unlike Europe, this one's actually up for a little bit of debate.
We actually do not know who will win this.
Yeah.
Neeb won the first Challenger this year for NA, and no one was surprised by that. But Neeb did not win last season, which means anything is possible.
I mean, not only that, but then you also had a event very recently that happened like 12 hours ago where Neeb lost to Scarlet, who's also in Challenger today. So there are so many different possibilities of who could win. puCK is playing very well. MaSa has won Challenger before. It's going to be a very exciting day. But of course, the prize pool for today is going to be a $10,000 prize pool. $1,600 to first place. $400 to all the players that got already knocked out in the group stages, and of course WCS points and more prize money all the way in between for all the different stages. And of course, I want to note that these WCS points are so important, Nate, because for these North American players, a lot of them don't get to travel, or a lot of them aren't placing in the top 16 or something of the playoffs. So each one of these WCS points really, really has a huge impact on seeding for events like WCS Montreal.
Yep, and we have such a weird setup this year, and it doesn't really mean anything that I say that because it was the same way last year because we won 3 of the circuit events, but the qualification slots to get to the global playoffs are not coming from winning circuit events because Cyril has won 3 of the events. He can only qualify once. We haven't found the technology to clone him yet, so
that's coming.
There's more point slots available is basically what I'm saying, which means that players further down the rung in points are now in so far, and pushing those guys out becomes a little bit more realistic for some of the lower players. Get a few points here, get the last of your points at Montreal, and I'm interested to see if any players do make that last dive in at the final moment into those spots. But
I mean, we've definitely seen that happen in last year, especially a lot of players. I mean, it was actually coming down to literal ties and points where 10 points would have made the difference between qualifying and not qualifying.
And I think it's an especially bigger deal for the North American players because if you look at the finalists from the tournaments this year, even if you didn't beat Cyril, you still got guys like Showtime, Mana, Haas. Those are the players that are getting still tons of points, and because it's more point-based, it's not as clear. It's not we had Neeb play Cyril 3 times this year. Those 2 are like guaranteed, and it's not quite that like that. Although, you know, players like Neeb obviously have a lot of points for winning Challenger. So if you want to see NA players make it through, looking for some strong performances here to get into Montreal.
All right, this is the place. Now let's take a look at our 8 players that are going to be playing today. And Nate, I'm not going to lie. Yesterday, I just spent all of yesterday staring at this bracket and getting amped up.
Because I woke up. Not all ZBZ.
I woke up.
Like
well, not just that, but also I woke up 4 hours early today. I just thought about how awesome. Well,
how did you not bring me coffee?
Well, the problem was that I did drink coffee in the morning. But I was just staring at this bracket. I was just getting amped up. MaSa versus puCK is such an awesome old school matchup.
Oh yeah,
these guys have played so much before. You got Neeb versus Johnso. Johnso literally cannot avoid Neeb for his life. They play pretty much every single season.
Here's my question. Is Jon Snow the lowest seeded player in this bracket?
No, I don't think he's the lowest.
No, right?
But the way that it works, I believe, is you have the people who make it out first, the people who make it out second.
Okay. I wasn't sure if the seeding still had some effect on that. Whether he would
Not
play against
100%
Neve
sure
or
about
someone like
because
Monza.
Antis should be the lowest seeded player in the bracket. I
Right.
believe, yeah.
That was what I was
I
thinking,
believe it's
so.
randomized from there.
Okay,
But
okay.
True versus Antis is also going to be very interesting. I think True's a heavy favorite there.
Antis played in the first two groups,
Antis
right?
did play in the first two groups, and while he did kind of get dominated by Neve, he showed some really good ZVZ versus Star Killer, and I think it was BioIce or someone. It was another Zerg player, so his ZVZ was actually pretty on point and pretty impressive. And then Scarlet versus Semper is another funny one, because much like Jon Snow facing Neve basically every season of Challenger, Semper faces Scarlet basically every season of Challenger, and it's always fun.
Semper's been getting so much better, by the way. He's been constantly improving. Every time I watch him play, it's really, really clean.
You saw him play very recently, didn't you?
I got to cast him. He played in a charity show match that I was running the other day against puCK, and he played disgustingly well. Won 4-0. He had really good control, dealt with the disruptor shenanigans extremely well, played really good late game. Semper really impressed me because puCK is a player that I hold at a very high level, and I actually think he still played well. There were some great games, but he could not actually beat Semper. And I think that says a lot.
I think my favorite thing about that show match, by the way, was the way that Semper won, because Semper used to be known, and it used to be his biggest weakness, is that he was just the macro guy. He was the standard guy that you never have to worry about proxies or.
He proxied like half the games.
He has rounded out his play so well this year in the past 6-8 months. I was talking with him. He was like, yeah, I realized on this patch I need to be able to mix up my play a bit.
He
and
said just
success.
play like Maru, and that means, yeah, you got to proxy half your game so no one knows what you're doing.
All right, well, speaking of Maru, Nate, we do have the one true Maru, MaSa, going to be playing in that first match versus puCK.
That was such a good segue. I'm sure they're about to sue you.
Well, of course, let's talk about how they're going to be playing today, as these are going to be best of fives. The playoffs is a single elimination bracket. For those who don't know, that just means that we have 8 players, and they play until we have
chances.
No second chances.
If you lose, you die.
Best of fives. And of course, the players that do win that first round are, of course, also going to be getting a spot at WCS Montreal, and that's going to be a pretty big deal. So these first quarterfinal matches are a massive deal. Everything else after that, of course, going to be for those WCS points, as well as just the confidence level going into Montreal.
Yeah, everything past that's gravy. I mean, Montreal is going to be your last big opportunity. Because I don't want to say that anyone's going to beat Cyril, but in a weird world where Cyril decides that he wants to go on vacation instead of going to Montreal, anybody could theoretically get a spot in the global finals just from that alone, just winning that. I do think that Cyril will be there, but for some of these players, the points is going to be a really big deal. I don't really know who exactly is in threat of getting kicked out because there's still so much that can happen, and these points haven't been calculated yet. But I'm excited for this match. MaSa versus puCK is always a good series.
So pumped for this one.
And MaSa in Challenger has been known for being extremely aggressive as well. A lot of cheese.
Yep.
Season 1 versus Neve and Scarlet, he literally cheesed every single game in a best of 5 and then a best of 7.
Yep.
Only lost like 3-4 in that final match against Neve, and that game was crazy.
It was absurd, and it was so much fun. That's just what we can expect from NA today. But let's go ahead and get things started. We're going to be moving up here in the top left-hand corner of Dreamcatcher on top of the blue Terran player. Give it up for OSC Elite's MaSa.
And his opponent in the southeast position, hailing from North Dakota in the United States, he is puCK. I like giving the North Dakota shout out, Doesn't really get a whole lot of love.
puCK actually loves giving that North Dakota shout out as well.
Yeah, I like to give credit to my Pennsylvania boys,
Ooh.
Look at this. This is the fake out.
So I want to draw
though?
attention to specifically MaSa's series versus Neve in that Season 1 Challenger you mentioned, where I think my favorite thing that MaSa did was that he didn't proxy every game. He just would proxy half the games, and then he would hide his normal stuff somewhere.
You say that,
outside.
but look at what puCK is doing. Is this going to be... Man, this is what happens.
This is the gateway.
It's been a day. Can we talk about GSL yet?
You know what? Let's talk a little bit.
I don't
about
need to spoil the results to
Yeah.
you guys. I'm just going to tell you that this is what happened. A lot of this. And the best thing is that doesn't actually spoil any of the matches, because, you'll find out if you haven't caught up yet for some weird reason.
Now here's the important thing. Oh my God, puCK didn't scout. Okay, no, he saw SCVs mining the second gas geyser. So even though he doesn't spot that, he should think, okay, there's 2 gas geysers. I didn't see a barracks. What should I be
As a
prepared for?
Protoss, I don't think you have to worry about this because your build is naturally going to deal with it.
Yeah.
Because the cybernetics core is going to give you your Stalker at home, which will stop a Reaper if it's proxied, and you just keep chronoing, because that's what you were going to do anyway. And then the proxy gateway, you're like, well, he won't have anything at home to deal with this if I just rally another Stalker there too. So I think the fact that he needs to scout that everything is at home, and then he'll know I don't need to leave any units at home.
I think that's the important part, right? Is that right now you look at that rally for the gateway, he's sending units back, and this is all supposed to be a very aggressive play from puCK. So
puCK needs to attack. He doesn't really know 100% yet. But this probe, if the probe goes into the main and tries to block a factory that would be placed at the top of the ramp, then he should see this and realize what's going on.
But there's the wall. The Stalker is going to be moving forward, and he's going to force the Marines to move forward soon. But the Cyclone is on the way. SCV is going to get taken out.
I like that puCK rallied everything across the map, by the way. So he is doing the best thing that he could be doing here. He's using his aggressive push, and now the bunker is going to start up. We see the Marines coming to poke the Stalkers. Zealot is here to tank a little bit.
He knows that at least the barracks is at home, and now he's going to see that Cyclone, and he should know, oh, everything is at home for you. Supply Depot's actually going to be able to finish up. He can repair that back up now, and he should be fine.
Cancels the shield battery. Does not think he'll be able to get that up with the Cyclone there. And we have a robotics facility started back home for puCK.
Yep. puCK getting ready for some degree of transitioning.
Okay, did not really see this out of puCK in his previous PVT that I saw earlier this week, so I like this.
I think he was maybe concerned about the placement of the shield battery earlier.
Doesn't want it to be hit from high ground vision, maybe?
Yeah. I think because the bunker gives you that extra range, maybe with a Marauder or something, because then you get 7 range, because the bunker adds 1 range to those bio units.
And this forces you as a Terran to get siege tanks. It's really the best way to break out of this. He's proxied the starport.
That's going to be pretty tough, because even if there is that robo back at home for puCK, that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to have the Stalkers he needs to deal with this unless he warps back in at home, which kind of takes away from his aggression a bit.
Yeah, and he may, in that as well, he could just... I like that he depth shades for vision on the high ground. You guys pick up that SCV, but forcing a recall of the Stalkers back is also going to give the natural back to MaSa. And weirdly enough, all things said and done, in a normal game where you go Reaper Expand versus like Gate Nexus Core, this command center is actually much faster than it normally would be relative to the Nexus.
Yeah,
so
Immortal is being made right now though, and if puCK could send that across the map, but I'm really wondering what is he going to make next out of that robo, because Cloak is on the way. It's going to be another Immortal, so he may be very delayed on trying to get up any sort of detection for that Banshee.
Yeah, puCK's got to be super careful. You got to be asking yourself, I don't see any starport units. What could it be now?
Shield battery out of energy. puCK's stay here is going to be very limited as the siege tank now pops. Oh boy, this is actually going to be a lot of damage.
Yeah, it's time to motor. Get out of there.
He's trying to fight this. He's going to...
Cyclone would be nice if the...
Oh my god, really sick play by the way from MaSa. He's focus firing the Stalkers because he knows that's what's going to be taking the most damage from those siege tank shots, not the Zealot.
The most expensive too here. So we have the Robotics Bay and a Warp Prism coming in as puCK sends everything home. Did the Banshee head in? Banshee's in the natural right now.
Oh.
So...
Yeah. Two workers killed so far. Observer is being made, so he's expecting that there is going to be that cloak, and there it goes.
Your probes are getting pulverized.
Shield battery is going to be there, and the Banshee with the shield battery there is not going to be able to do too much. There is that Observer, but only a single Stalker out. There are the rest of them. Okay, so a little bit of a weird situation. Both these players do have expansions finished up, though, so we are going to transition to a slightly more normal game, but I wouldn't entirely call it super normal.
I mean, in a situation like this, I love the Terran's position. Like, the Banshee maybe gets cleaned up, but for all intents and purposes, the third command center is halfway done. Protoss does not have a third. The Banshee harass is still a viable threat that's going to be out on the map because there's no Stargate, so you have to keep units at home like this until you eventually get forges. But, like I was saying, at this phase of the game, like in a normal game, if you're Reaper expanding, your command center is halfway done when the Nexus is starting to be chronoed, and then you still have to turn it into an orbital. But the Terran has a landed orbital, the same worker count as the Protoss. He's actually got a lead because of the Banshees, and with the third command center coming up, MaSa, he's a rich boy right now.
Yeah, he's doing quite well for himself. When the Terran player is leading up in workers, you know it's good. Yeah. But here is the big unit that puCK is so well known for, the Disruptor. Now, going for those Disruptor drops, that's how he finds his comeback.
He got some gnarly Disruptor micro, and in his series against Semper earlier this week, he really was able to make a lot out of it. But he found he was in a similar position because Semper was getting great harass done to him there too. So now, I don't know exactly how MaSa's going to follow this up, but if he plays anything like Semper, puCK's going to have a hard time getting through.
Oh, but the Disruptor did get scouted here by MaSa, so he sees that. He's going to be able to pick off a couple more workers here, be a little bit more annoying.
Just keep building tanks, right? That seems to be what helps a lot against this, to zone them out, keep them away.
You know what? Whenever I watch puCK stream, I actually don't know what helps versus the Disruptor play because he's just so good at finding the random angles. The siege tank siege up does make it harder for those Disruptors to get the shots off, but I really think it's just a lot of really good attention to your army, making sure you're never really super unprepared for things.
Yeah, that Prism is making its way. Didn't he already have one? That's not a second one. Okay. No, I thought he had one already. My bad.
No, he didn't lose one either, so.
It's all good.
Okay.
I thought I saw one in the production tab earlier.
You know, I think he had started one, but he might have canceled it to get up the Observer, because that was right when the Banshee was coming out.
You don't have to defend me, Ravi. I'm a washed up caster. I just don't know what I'm talking about anymore.
No, it's okay. You can just blame it on
That's a Citadel of a Dunny started right there, right, as well? They got the Zealot leg upgrade.
That's true. He's going to get the Zealot leg upgrade.
It's got a lot of mental calculus. So.
Adept is going to be shading a bit further forward. Not actually too much further forward. Does get taken out by that Bioforce. Banshee was coming back in, and now that he has two, he can take out the probes, even with a shield battery there. But here we go. Disruptor coming forward.
Here we go.
5 workers. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Speedy Disruptors. Oh, what are those Marines shooting? The depot?
Oh! He's trying to repair it too. Oh no.
Blind. Those things take 21 seconds to build. You
well,
madman.
He does have some more that are about to finish up, so he's not going to get supply blocked, luckily for MaSa. Okay, but from here on, we do end up seeing a situation where puCK is going to have a couple of those Immortals from early on, but he's actually going up to the Dark Shrine, and he's continuing to get Disruptor harassed. 5 more workers.
Well, when in Rome, you've got a Speed Prism, might as well give yourself all the harass, but he also probably realizes that he needs to do something, because like, it's 2 base. He's moving the 3rd out now, it looks like.
Uh-oh, okay.
Prism needs a big shot, and he's not going to get it with all those tanks sieged there.
Yeah, puCK very, very good with that War Prism control. He actually hotkeys it to spacebar because he uses it so often. Just making sure he has immediate access to it whenever he wants.
That sounds like I would accidentally hit that all the time and just kill my Prism every game.
I know, it's like the opposite problem. I'm hitting it too often. I'm paying too much attention to it. Well, there is a second Disruptor now, so he can go after this army. MaSa.
If he stays far enough out of range, Disruptors can hit him.
Ooh, that's a big stim. Remember that Starport was on the other side of the map. He doesn't have any medevacs.
Yeah, he built another one at home, but yeah, you're right. That one was flying across the map.
There's 3 on the way now, at least.
Looks like something's going to harass the southeast side. That was a giant Marine hit. I'm pretty sure he just killed like...
He killed a lot of Marines there.
He just killed a lot of Marines.
Okay, well, like you said, those
18 Marines have died this game, and I'm pretty sure that was most.
That was all just off of that, yeah. Well, the Banshees are continuing to get a little bit of harassment done. There is a pylon here, though, so puCK has his reinforcing pylon. He's going to continue. MaSa's going to continue to try and find avenues of attack. But at the same time, remember, every single moment that MaSa keeps puCK busy dealing with the Banshees, it means that he's probably not microing those Disruptors around. So this is, in like a kind of weird way of also being defensive, is putting on your own form of aggression.
Yeah, did he recall those Disruptors back? The Prism doesn't have Disruptors in it anymore. Or did he lose them?
No, he has one Disruptor. They're both over here. Yeah, he unloaded them and put them off. I wasn't sure. Side.
They were kind of close. I wasn't sure if that was
DTs are moving forward. But
there's still a missile turret, so... he got turrets to deal with the Speed Prism.
Yeah. Oh, there's Blink. Takes out the Banshees finally at long last.
puCK lost a lot of probes, by the way. He's down to 44, which...
He did.
Even for 3 base, like, now the Terran's completely saturated on 3.
23 workers going down to all of that continued Banshee harassment. So pretty nice damage there for MaSa, especially given that he's had that 3rd base mining for a little bit longer than puCK.
puCK needs to get a good deal more of work done here. He's going to come up with the Disruptors again. I mean, if you could take out the missile turret and some SCVs, then you open up the DT play more, but...
MaSa knows. He saw the little glimmer of this. He's actually trying to stim forward for it. Has to be careful, though. Nice split up of just a handful of Marines. Not going to allow...
Forces the scan on the DT, by the way, that was whacking at the army. He's trying to peel them apart one slice at a time, Canning style.
But now we end up seeing MaSa get into the position he needs to actually put pressure on that 3rd base. puCK is just kind of going to give it up at this point.
He's like, yeah, take my 3rd.
Oh,
Disruptors! Oh, big shot!
Juicy connections, but is it going to be enough with just the Disruptors here? He's going to end up losing those and those probes.
More DTs being added to try and stop this as he goes to this big counterattack. He's trying to get onto the heart of the Terran production. careful with that prism. Oh my god, that's a lot of Marines.
Oh, that is a ton of Marines on the high ground, but the Disruptor's still going to be causing some problems. Another big Disruptor hit. This army, yes, the Siege tanks are the ones that are surviving, but the Marine count is starting to get thinned out a bit.
All puCK can do is just keep trying to trickle in Dark Templar, and yeah, that's pretty much it. May recall to the main. Don't know what else.
Pretty rough.
He wants to get the third.
Oh, the Warp Prism. Okay, well, the Warp Prism will be able to just hold the ground for the natural expansion for a little bit. It takes care of most of the SCVs here. That is a good amount of damage, but now we see MaSa moving up to the main base, and things are looking pretty dire for puCK, who's going to start losing his
He's
pylons.
got the orbitals lifted, right? So more DTs? I don't know. Oh, okay, there's the big recall. And is he going to be able to stop this army?
I guess it'll be a one base versus one base situation, but he loses so many Stalkers with the Siege tank fire. Oh, the
Siege tanks are... Oh, he killed his own DT with that Disruptor shot.
Oh, this is terrible. That's it. GG. MaSa takes it in the base trade.
Ouch.
That's the kind of game that I expected to see, though. Like, this kind of craziness.
I started building Disruptors for the first time last night, and I was like, oh yeah, if they hit the enemy unit and they're next to your units die too.
Yeah, first thing that I learned in PvP was that Blink DTs and Disruptors do not pair well together, because you blink your DTs on your opponent's army and then you kill them with your own Disruptors.
Yeah.
Not
gonna be a no
fun.
for me, dog.
Yeah, but regardless, we end up seeing a pretty crazy situation, but that's kind of what I expected the game to be like, where MaSa does some kind of
MaSa does a fake proxy.
He does weird mind game-ish stuff.
And then puCK actually proxies him.
Yeah, there's like some weirdness on that side. MaSa gets a little bit ahead in the early game, but then puCK starts pulling the game back with Disruptor play.
I'd like to say just a good build choice by MaSa, because that proxy second gate, everyone's doing it. Everyone's doing it. They're doing it in a GSL. They're doing it on the NA ladder. Poor ladder scrubs like me are getting wrecked every game trying to just... All I want to do is Reaper expand. So I think it was very smart that MaSa also playing... more factory-based style. Opening up with that option for aggression himself is good, because we see a lot of the Korean Terrans, if there's nothing to fight at the start of the game, then you just load up those Cyclones that you build for safety, drop them across the map. As long as an Immortal doesn't snipe your Banshee cloak, you're good.
Yeah, and honestly, I think it could have gotten a little bit scary there if MaSa had proxied his buildings, because if puCK had been doing the same thing, then it gets into this really weird situation where it's like, well, your units are
if you get two Stalkers and a Zealot into your opponent's main and nothing is there, the probe will build a pylon and get shield batteries in your main, which we've also seen. So I think the fake proxy worked well just because it ended up him literally rushing a factory in his own base, which is what he would have needed anyway against this attack, to easily defend it, I should say.
Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, we're ready to load on just 16-bit for game number 2 as we start down in the bottom left-hand corner of the map. Top of the red Protoss player, he is Root Gaming's puCK.
Why do they call it 16-bit if most of the monitors only run in 8-bit, Fear Dragon?
Monitors run in 8-bit? What?
It's a color depth joke, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
In the top right, we have the blue Terran player. I'm just really reaching, it's early. I'm warming up. We have the blue Terran player. He is MaSa. They're fancy ones that do 10-bit color depth, and then like HDR is supposed to be beyond that. But most HDR panels don't actually support it. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm like a total scrub in a lot of that stuff.
It just pulled me off on a little bit of a tangent,
Okay, can do it. Okay, well, MaSa is going to go for that Barracks proxy, and this is kind of funny. He did this exact same thing earlier in Challenger versus Estrella, where he did decide to go for the Reaper, and after he kind of saw that Estrella in that game...
I like that he's actually proxying, by the way.
Yeah.
Let me just put that out there.
But this usually does fall up into the factory. You can plant down the factory at home, or you can also plant down the factory as a proxy and go for the Cyclone.
Yeah. That's a tough question. I think proxying just the Reaper is a good move, and then you later proxy the Starport if you want to do that. But from what was happening in like GSL and all that, building the factory at home seems to be the safer / smarter option, just because those units move quickly, and it keeps you from dying to them just rushing a unit across the map at you, or the probe like just building a pylon in your wall and getting the battery.
Big worker pull over here to try and deal with that bunker, because he really doesn't want to let that get up. There's a cancel.
Terran's been doing that a lot, and if the bunker finishes, that's great. If it doesn't, it's still great, because you're forcing like 6 or 7 probes to do nothing.
I mean, look at that massive spike up in income compared for MaSa.
But, you know, in a normal game, the command center would be maybe starting now, the Nexus would be halfway done, and this Reaper really delays everything for the Protoss, while the Terran also gets up that infrastructure back home, like we were talking about. He builds the factory as part of the wall, by the way, which I do think is the correct play.
Okay, well, at the same time that we have this Reaper trying to get some harassment and killing off 3 workers already.
This is fantastic.
This is massive damage.
When I was first learning how to proxy Reaper versus Protoss, man, it's the magic numbers. If you can get 3 probes, you are a very happy camper. And oh my god. Oh, don't chase me, probes!
It was so close to dying too, but there is a proxy coming down, a proxy Stargate from
me to make sound effects for the next game, don't worry.
The second Reaper is going to be here, though, and
see, at that point, I'd actually say that's terrible, because that should never happen. The Reaper also, he would have had 1 more shot, he would have killed the probe. And then 4 probe kills, I'd be like, woo! But
that would have been massive. But
this wasn't meant to be.
This is a little bit of a scary spot now, because the Cyclone can do some okay damage immediately to the Oracle once it pops out, but unless you have
But will it be an Oracle Fear Dragon? What if the probe builds pylons and his shield battery Void Ray contains him? No, I think it's too late for that.
Yeah.
But it would have been cool.
I think it's hard to do something like that on 16-bit because they still get the in-base natural, right?
You say that, but my ladder experience says otherwise. Move your camera to that spot by the mineral patch on the low ground base, all right?
Oh, on the low ground base?
You know how many? Yeah, the other one. It's by the ramp. Like
oh, this one, yes.
You know how many shield batteries? This bad boy can fit so many shield batteries in it. And then guess what? The Void Ray is in spitting distance of your factory and your barracks and your wall.
Yeah. By the way, while we were showing that, the other Reaper did die for the scout, and he didn't really see a whole lot. He saw Zealot, Stalker, Adept on this side of the map, but that may also, just the lack of things, may sometimes be a little bit of a reveal. Oracle does pop on in, though, and MaSa seems wholly unprepared for this. The Cyclone's going to try and move forward. Lock-on comes down.
Yeah, the Cyclone not really able to effectively deal with the Oracle, but at least you bully it back, and now the SCV sees this.
Sees the second Oracle.
He canceled the Raven and started a Viking. He had a Raven and Cloak on the way. He canceled both, just go straight into a Viking. Ravens are funny when it comes to units like the Oracle. Fear Dragon, did you know that if a Raven uses the interference matrix on an Oracle,
can it not disable the...
It cannot turn the pulsar beam off, which would make you say something like, well, wouldn't it shut it off anyway? But no, it actually causes the Oracle to drain through its energy for the entire duration.
That is really cool.
It works the same way with cloaked units. If you use it on a Banshee, the Banshee will be cloaked but not cloaked, and it will be using the energy because you can't use the ability to turn off cloak.
That is so cool. I actually love that kind of dynamic. We don't really see it too often, but the Raven is going to be coming out regardless behind this. MaSa, I know that he also does love going for those kind of big 2-base follow-up attacks even after a kind of weird opening in the game, so we'll see where things go from here. Got a couple of those Cyclones just ready to try and intercept any of the Oracles that get aggressive. And a Phoenix also made.
Yeah, I mean, this map really asks for the big drop play. I like the Phoenix. And the Phoenix is one of those few units that has a really weird turning radius, so when you tell it to patrol between 2 spots, it just kind of goes into an arc like that.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
I also love the Phoenix, not just for the drops, but also for the Liberator harassment.
It's gotta be stressful on the pilot's body. It's always leaning to the left, though, you know what I mean? Like, it never actually straightens out.
Maybe the seat actually on the Phoenix is tilted.
Itself.
It adjusts, so you're always pointing toward gravity. It's Protoss,
I wouldn't be surprised if the Protoss were on top of that. What am I thinking? What am I thinking?
Okay, well, we do have third command center on the way here for MaSa. Third base also on the way there for puCK, and I think should be finished up now. Yep, there it is. But I think MaSa finally feeling a little comfortable to take out that Stargate and the pylon there.
Yeah. Other fun fact, you know the Cyclone, you probably know this though, the Cyclone is the only unit in StarCraft now that doesn't have a random attack delay.
Yeah, because it would have affected it so much.
Yeah.
Battlecruiser gets affected pretty badly.
Battlecruiser actually will sometimes have twice as much attack delay because of random attack delay.
For those who don't know, actually, the other fun fact that's a little more basic than that is that every unit has a random attack delay.
Yep.
So every single time you attack between attacks,
someone told me this also applies to Hellbat transforms as well, so that they all transform at just a teensiest little bit difference. It's not like crazy noticeable, but I guess like I don't know.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. One of the reasons why it's done is so that the sound effects don't all literally play at the exact same milliseconds, so that you get that's how you get that chorus of like Marine Fire, where it sounds really, really badass.
Yeah. Easiest way you can always see it is if you just have like a bunch of Marines or Stalkers.
Did he just kill 2 of his own probes?
You know, he didn't need.
Was he supply block?
I think he's supply block.
To get the
He
immortal.
has supply block right now. He's 77 and 77.
We're still casting the game, guys. I promise.
Yeah, we're paying attention.
I don't mean to just drop knowledge bombs on you about StarCraft.
This is now the 99% useless facts.
You know, actually, you and me being on a desk, we probably together know almost everything there is about StarCraft. Did you know that if you take a bunch of Vikings and you put them all over the same exact spot in between like 3 pylons, you could land them and they'll all stack on each other. I probably shouldn't say that.
No, one of my favorite things related to that is we have just more Revelation stuff coming down. Is look
at the Observer too.
Wow.
Cool.
Oh, that's actually a beautiful.
The fact that that is some.
Oh, Widowmine's also going to be coming forward. Phoenix not going to be able to do a lot. There's so many probes here. There are so many probes. Oh, puCK was focused on the units over at the front that were poking forward.
The Cyclones. Ouch.
Oh man. Well, the Phoenix might be able to get the medevac at least.
Kills 10 probes. Now they're even. Because normally the Protoss is supposed to be ahead of workers against the Terran. That's why meals are in this game. To try and mitigate against that. So when you're on even workers as Terran, you are feeling fantastic.
Oh, if double Cyclone lock on the Oracle and the Vikings there. Oh no, the lock on doesn't come down.
Might settle for the Phoenix.
I don't think he'll get it though.
Do you ever scan for that? Do you ever scan for it? I always miss it. When I scan for it, I'm like, oh yeah, all I need is vision and I'll kill it. And
no, I don't. I never end up scanning for it because my Terran is Bronze League.
Fair enough. You're
oh man!
Why would you?
No! That timing. That's so unfortunate. He didn't realize the units are coming back.
Well, this, I don't know.
Okay, well, here's the big push out from MaSa. He's got a handful of these Widow Mines. He can join forward with the other 2 Widow Mines. If he doesn't decide to drop them inside the natural.
They both burrowed.
He's right-clicking. He's right-clicking down on the probes. That was so well done.
6 probes killed.
That's really, really nice. Oh man, he's gonna drop the double Cyclones.
Cyclones now. He's like, well, the shield battery just burned through a lot.
There's not that much here. Yeah.
And he's gonna land a Viking. By the way, Vikings do insane damage to Stalkers and probes. Vikings on the ground, 2-shot probes.
Oh, puCK is onto the shenanigans, so he knows that there's gonna be another push.
Dorito Cannon, the Zealots. They're gonna be at -2 armor. These Marines are gonna do so much damage in a head-to-head fight. Look how fast these bad boys evaporate with his kiting. Oh my god.
Widow Mines do a bit of damage to the Marines as well, but puCK, he needs another round of Zealot Warpins to hang on here.
-2 armor versus +1 attack Marines.
Even the Immortals are not going to be able to take this. The Dorito Cannon is about to expire. These Immortals are going to have a little more armor to work with. The shield battery
helps with the Immortals. Yeah, that's a big.
Widow Mine also connecting on those medevacs. Got to be careful if one more Widow Mine connects on those medevacs.
I like that he unburrows it. He's like, you know, I don't want to die like that.
Pros being pulled off the line. puCK is down in workers now. This is not looking good for him. MaSa was already sitting up 1-0.
MaSa, let's remember, he wasn't really harassed past this point, so he doesn't have to worry. He's just got everything rallied across the map. You push and you push and you finish the Protoss off and you just kill him. You just got those 2 Immortals of Warp Prism in a Dream trickling out Zealots 1 by 1, but he doesn't have an upgrade advantage. +1 armor finished up for MaSa. So that's it. GG. MaSa goes up 2-0.
And that continuous aggression just really working out well for MaSa.
Good flow by MaSa. Proxy Reaper gets 3 probes, loses the Reaper to the 1 probe. It kind of sucks, but because, as we talked about, he builds the factory at home, he's able to have the Cyclone out to push the Oracle back. Oracle only gets 2 kills, and then glorious Widowmine shot kills not only an Oracle, but the Observer that would have parked itself outside of his natural. What does that Observer do? Well, if he puts it into that Observer mode, like the surveillance mode, then he can see when MaSa moves out, and he has a little bit better understanding. In that game, as we saw, when those Widow Mines were in the bottom right, the Observer was over there with the Phoenix. So he had no idea that this push was coming across the map. And if he did, like maybe he saw it to take just the last second by sending a unit out.
I think he had some general sense there might be a chance of it because he left all of his units there as there was a harassment.
But to be fair, those were the Zealots and the Immortals. His anti-air was in the natural.
He also had some of the High Templars there, which didn't have Storm, and Storm was not researched or anything. So he was getting ready, but if he had even known, having, say, an Archon there would have been helpful. All these small things, or even just noticing, hey, there's a Raven trying to throw down the anti-armor missile on my army. Need to start spreading stuff out, but he was so focused on that drop. MaSa just did a great job picking him apart.
That's it. The anti-armor thing is something that doesn't get brought up enough, and the impact that it has there. The Zealots have +1 armor.
One base armor,
Yeah, so the Zealots start with 1 armor, and when you hit them with that, it's like, oh, it's -3 armor. And it's like, oh, so it just sets them down to 0. No.
No.
It effectively puts them at -2 armor, which means if the Marines have +1 attack, instead of doing 7 damage like they normally would, they do 9 damage per hit.
And this isn't a matchup that a lot of pro players would tout as saying this is the most important matchup for upgrades in terms of the impact it has.
For TvP, yes, exactly. Like, the reason why people build lots of Zealots is because they're so tanky.
Yeah.
But when you give the Zealots -2 armor, well,
I actually think that puCK wins that fight if there's not the anti-armor missile there. If you just take those same units in the same engagement, puCK actually probably holds there. But just using that anti-armor missile really helped out.
Anti-armor missile is just one of those things that I hope we see more and more of. There's really no reason not to squeeze out a Raven in the start of every single game, or at least get one before you take a big fight, because erasing the upgrades of your opponent is a huge deal.
It's pretty big. A lot of the reason why we don't see it is because you need that tech lab on the starport, right?
Yeah.
So it's always like the awkward point of trying to figure out the time.
I like that MaSa's been playing this way because he's able to get it in the beginning of the game, but we're loaded into map number 3 in the top left of Catalyst. We've got a red Protoss player. He is puCK. Back when Nathan was a young fledgling StarCraft player, puCK came with me to MLGs. He was he let me observe games between unknown up-and-coming NA players like Illusion, Scarlet, before she played in the IPL thing. And they're like,
that's so cool.
Like, who's this person? puCK's like, my friend just trying to learn the game.
Oh,
He's
so
been
cool.
helping me out for a long time. Very good player.
All right, guys, we'll spawn down here in the bottom right. Gonna be facing off against a proxy against his Protoss opponent. It is the blue Terran player, MaSa from OSC Elite. Oh, sitting up 2-0, and puCK having a bit of a tough time breaking MaSa right now.
Yeah, at some point, I mean, if you're puCK, what you're really hoping for with this type of build is you are really just hoping the Terran rests on his laurels a bit. Builds a Reaper at his main, goes for the expand, and if this probe comes in, you're like, I'm so much happier. If the SCV scouts it, it's one thing, but this build is designed to kill this strategy. The quick Zealot buys you time and also can pull the Reaper back in the middle of the map. It forces micro because the Zealot is tanky, and the Reaper's 2 shots of 4 get reduced to 3 versus the Zealot's base armor. And then the Stalkers come out and kill everything. So your goal here, you want to shut that command center down, force the cancel, and force the Terran player to back it up while you take your expand.
Okay, well, MaSa's going to move into the natural. He sees, oh, you don't have a Nexus. I think I know where this goes. You may have even seen a little glimmer of that Zealot making its way across the map. So there it is.
This is the ideal. This is the ideal scenario for puCK. Did he cancel the natural yet? Yeah, he did. Okay.
Ooh, okay. Pylon coming down on this side.
He might be following it up with
the Stargate and Void Rays.
Stargate.
It might go into exactly what you were talking about in 16-bit.
Yeah, it works on this map too.
I really like it on a map like this. Oh, a little bit of a supply block here from MaSa. The supply depot is about halfway finished right now.
Focus the Marine. If you can kill the Marine before the bunker finishes, then the bunker is useless.
What?
It's gonna finish.
Okay, gets an SCV at least, but that Stalker gonna take a bit of damage.
Get to the bunker.
Marine does not do that much damage to the Stalker.
Stargate, by the way, being warped in.
Yep, I believe it.
Move the Stalker.
Wait a sec, the SCV sees it!
Just a little bit.
Oh.
Wait, oh my god, the SCV, Mike Tyson punched out that probe.
No, just happened to me! Stalker! Oh, that unload from MaSa, he snags the Stalker. That's a massive mistake from puCK.
Now, yeah. Okay, I'm concerned now. Because now he can't, can't just chrono out units and have it. The Void Ray, it's got, I feel like it has to be a Void Ray. He could go Oracle.
It's gotta be a
But
Void
the
Ray.
Cyclone will push the Oracle back. If he goes for a Void Ray and he's able to prismatically align that Cyclone, he will top deck and wreck it. But he hasn't started anything yet. Instead he builds a Ro8.
Oh,
He didn't
that
cancel
was...
the Stargate at the last second, did he? Oh wow, he finds the proxy Starport.
He did.
Okay, at the final moment he canceled the Stargate. I was like, it was out 100%.
But a very important aspect of this is that MaSa did, he did see that there was no Stargate there.
Yeah, I guess puCK realizing that his proxy Stargate got scouted, he's like, okay, I'd rather try to take this a little bit more conservatively. I forced the cancel on the command center. So economically speaking, I shouldn't be as far behind as I otherwise would be if this attack had been thwarted in the first place. But that command center is still going to finish way before the Nexus, which means that the orbital command will be done. So they'll both be building workers at the same time, which means that MaSa should be able to keep that count of workers even, which for a Terran player puts you ahead versus Protoss, because he's still going to have access to the mules. We're going to see him go into siege tanks to cover himself. He's going to break down this gateway, so that puCK's going to have to replace his production, and he's going to kill the pylon, which right now would supply block puCK.
And remember, warp gate technology is only halfway finished, and it's not just about the ability to warp in units. When you have warp gate, you produce units basically twice as fast. So this is going to be a bit of a problem for puCK, who just may not actually have enough to help defend over here.
Yeah, I mean, what you're setting yourself up for as MaSa is a big push before like Twilight Council tech comes out, where you can use your Marines, your SCVs, and medevac, get that siege position, maybe throw in a bunker outside the opponent's natural. Now, of course, it's all speculation. He doesn't have to do this. He'll start it off with some light harass and medevac with just a dash of Cyclone and Marines in there.
Already love that puCK is positioning those stalkers inside his main base, saying, okay, it's been a bit. I don't know where that starport is going to be. But
you have to be careful. If this was a double Cyclone drop, that Cybernetics War is dead.
But those two stalkers are not enough. It'll delay things a little bit so he doesn't immediately start you losing buildings, but these stalkers themselves may end up dying.
Yep. Well, okay, he doesn't try to drop on top of the stalkers. He's just going to play here for the Cyberport. And I guess with the 4 Marines and 1 Cyclone, he'll still get it.
This is still a pretty value trade, or being able to get that Cybernetics Core, because the Cybernetics Core starts up pretty late there for puCK. It's going to delay his warpins of Stalkers for a little bit. He can only make Zealots.
Yep, no sentries, no depths.
Okay, but here comes the big push that MaSa is going for. The medevacs are not going to be quite here in time, but there are the medevacs. Oh, unloading behind. Might be able to stack some with the Adepts, and the Immortal also getting its Hardened Shields triggered, with the Shield Batter healing it up.
That's a pretty sweet flank. Now the siege tanks have been given that space to siege up outside. They're going to pick off the shield battery. That's the biggest defensive reinforcement
bunker.
point.
This is going to be pretty difficult.
No reason not to get a bunker here. The one thing that really kills you sometimes is like when the Protoss is going for fast charge or whatever, and you're like, I'm going to just get bunkers, stack those Marines in, give them that 400 health.
Oh man, and the Liberator complicates so much. There's only those 3 Stalkers out right now. Warp Prism is going to go across the map, or just unload the Immortals behind.
I don't know how puCK breaks this.
He has to give up his natural this point. He's clearly doing that.
Lib tank bunker, yeah, but you're going to go to 1 base versus a 2 base Terran.
I don't even know how he prevents MaSa from moving up into his main. I guess the sentries are going to be okay for that.
Just inch the tanks forward.
He has to do so much damage with this Warp Prism. Maybe he warps in some Zealots too. It's 2 Mortals. He has to warp in some Zealots to really get damage done.
He's getting a Robo Bay, so. He was in a similar situation actually versus Semper in their match, but he was able to get a robot on the map and take a ninja base.
These siege tanks.
MaSa is, he's sieged the production. It's like, what are you gonna do?
Okay, Immortal's getting some damage done. Warping a couple of these Zealots. He's gonna be able to start going after the production, like you said, so.
Add-ons.
Oh my god, MaSa got an SCV up to the high ground. He's making a bunker there.
Good use. Did he use medevac? I wonder if he used medevac to get up there.
Yeah, I think he must have, because otherwise it was...
I guess it doesn't really matter. Like, he got up there, but this is really nice.
Immortal, it's trying to target fire down the SCV and misclick though.
So close.
Oh.
Immortal.
Yeah, he's doing some good damage. He's warping in more Zealots. Remember, but all these are offensive warping, so he doesn't have a whole lot of his army being built up over here on the defense.
I guess he's waiting for an arc that he can try to push around with the Liberator can't cover everything.
He wanted to move forward, but there was still another siege up on the ramp.
He's chronoing out a Disruptor, like a big hit on the Marines. Maybe he thinks he can spread out around and grab the tanks, but it's still going to be so difficult. He's lost everything at home.
He's doing a lot of damage to MaSa, but the problem, I mean, he's preventing MaSa from making more units. There's the Disruptor. It only kills off 2 Marines, though. It's going to be on cooldown for a little bit now, and the Nexus is under attack.
Yep, that's it. This is puCK's base. puCK is going to be forced to try and fight soon. We have Guardian Shield popped. The Liberator has completely enveloped the Nexus with its Freedom Zone.
Disruptor off cooldown. It's gonna go after the Cyclone. It gets it low, but does not kill
Cyclone's still alive. He cannot mine anymore.
Oh, all the production is just being rebuilt in the natural.
MaSa has retreated into his turtle shell, channeling the spirit of other NA Terrans.
Oh, seconds away from finishing.
Disruptor shot.
900 minerals from puCK. Oh man,
the SCVs are here.
If he had that Warp Prism still back at home, he could at least unload and probe and build a Nexus somewhere out on the map.
Yeah, he's stuck now.
He can't. He has the minerals for a Nexus. He has the minerals for 2 Nexus, but he can't do anything.
He has to bring the Prism back. He's still trying to micro it across the map. Yeah, GG. MaSa wins our first match 3-0 today.
And kind of in that MaSa-esque fashion with both shenanigans, dealing with his opponent's shenanigans, and just a lot of kind of really versatile play.
Yeah, good dynamic series out of both players. Love seeing the aggression from puCK. Didn't quite work out the way that he was hoping it would this game. I think losing that Stalker to the bunker is a big one. And the SCV being out on the map to even try to proxy that starport. Like, good job canceling that, but the they being here or there on the Stargate. Like, I mean, get the Stargate out, get a Void Ray, keep Chrono Soccer.
I really wouldn't have
commit.
hated that. Even if it gets scouted, I mean, it's not like MaSa can go deal with that pylon immediately or anything, right? He doesn't have any units that are going to go kill
He
that.
wouldn't have stim, I think, is the biggest thing. Like, MaSa was very far away from having stim in that situation, and that's when you try to get your shield batteries out front, you try to play around it, you restore the shields on the Void Ray, because the Cyclone's never going to kill it. And you'll want to get tanks and Vikings versus that, not Cyclones. So, tough series for puCK.
Yeah.
But congratulations to MaSa. We've seen him as a finalist in Challenger. We expect to see him go deep, so good on him.
Yeah, really, really awesome. MaSa's always a bit of a question mark. I think whenever he shows up for Challenger, we're like, you know, is MaSa in form? Because sometimes MaSa doesn't look great. Sometimes MaSa looks awesome. He looks phenomenal. And I think we're looking a little bit closer toward MaSa looking to be in really good form right now. So I'm excited.
Yeah, interested to see if he ends up playing against Neeb. Will he cheese every single game again?
Well, we're going to find out who he's going to play against because you know what? As we take a look at that bracket, we're going to see that his next opponent is going to be the winner of Neeb versus Jon Snow. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. Neeb will crush Jon Snow. And historically, the only time Jon Snow beat Neeb was back in 2015 when Neeb used to play Terran. That's the only time that Jon Snow's beat.
Jon Snow is the underdog in that match.
Yes.
Can't be denied, so it should be a good one.
I'm really looking forward to it. We'll see you guys in a little bit for this North American showdown.